What it do, YouTube? It's your boy Kato Taku and welcome to another video. So today I have a new series for you guys. It's called Manga in Minutes. Basically, the premise of Manga in Minutes is that I'm going to be talking about a series that I'm currently reading or something that I have recently finished and give my thoughts and opinion about it. The point of Manga in Minutes is that it's not supposed to be some well thought out argument or opinion about what I feel about these series, but more so a rant and something that can start a conversation with you guys. It's not meant to trigger anyone. These are literally just my opinion. I could be wrong. You could be wrong. It's all subjective at the end of the day. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about Demon Slayer. Now, I'm not going to be talking about the anime really, because we all know that the animation is crazy. But specifically today, I want to talk about the manga, because I read the manga after the second season ended, and let's just say it's not as good as the anime. Quick little disclaimer, I don't hate Demon Slayer. I don't think Demon Slayer is bad by any means. I just have an opinion about Demon Slayer, and I don't want to say it's overhyped because I know people love it and I understand why people love it. But for me personally, it's not like the greatest thing out there. I feel like there's stuff that is handled a lot better. Before I move any further, I'm gonna give you guys a spoiler warning right now. If you guys have not read the Demon Slayer manga, do not continue listening to this part because I will be talking about specific things that I didn't like about the manga in this area. So you guys have been warned, we're talking about the manga, not just the anime right now. So before we talk about all of the issues that I had with the Demon Slayer manga, let's talk about some of the things I did like. One thing I did like were the characters, which I think is why I had some issues that I did have, is because I liked the characters a lot. The Stone Hashira, his backstory kind of broke me. It was really heartbreaking for me to see what went down with him and how he ended up the way that he ended up. Not only did I like the Stone Hashira, I liked all of the Hashiras in general. I think a lot of them had a lot of interesting personality traits and characteristics, but I wish that we had seen more of them and seen more development for them. And I get that they're already Hashira, we don't really need to see them grow and get better or whatever. And I guess you could argue that in points in the manga, they did hit that new level because of the mark and everything like that, but I just feel like they were kind of pushed to the side a little bit, and of course we had to focus on the protagonist. This is something I'm going to keep repeating because I understand that, but I also feel like they could have been shown a little bit more love because they're cool, right? Like, I wanted to see more of them. Another thing that I liked about the Demon Slayer manga, and I guess you could say about Demon Slayer in general, is that they do always give a backstory to the demons where we see where they were at in their past life, what struggles they had to go through. The story with Gyutaro and his backstory and everything, and Daki's backstory, I think that one was probably one of my favorites. I think it was really sad. I really wondered how they would have turned out if they were put in a better environment, and I really like how they made the connection between brother and sister with Tanjiro and Nezuko, and how that could have been them facing the same thing instead of Gyutaro and Daki. And I really enjoyed that part. That's one thing that Demon Slayer always does well, is give a backstory to the demons. So we gotta admit, the anime for Demon Slayer is great, right? I mean, personally, I was never a huge fan of Demon Slayer. I watched the first season and it was a little underwhelming, especially with the amount of people that were telling me I needed to watch it and it was one of the best anime out right now. And I'm not gonna say it's not, but it was definitely not living up to the hype like everyone else was building it up to be. For me personally, the second season of Demon Slayer was a lot better than the first season. I think that I was a lot more invested in what was going on in the series. I'm not saying season 1 was bad. Of course, I'm not saying season 1 is bad. But I do strongly believe, and I think people can agree with me, that season 2 was just on another level. We have to admit that Studio Ufotable, they knock it out of the park every single episode. It felt like I was watching a movie every time I watched an episode of season 2. And that's what made Demon Slayer so great for me. It made me want to watch it because I could at least enjoy the animation, even if me personally didn't think that the story was anything like crazy or mind-blowing or mind-boggling or anything like that. The problem with the manga that I have personally, I know we're talking a lot about the anime, but for me, the problem with the manga is that it's not as good as the animation. I immediately started reading it, I think maybe a few days after the second season ended, and I was just like, man, this art is just not doing it for me. And I know what people are gonna say. Some people prefer the manga, they love it. That's fine, that you guys are entitled to your opinion, but for me, as an anime only for the first 2 seasons, and especially experiencing the masterpiece that was Demon Slayer season 2, especially the last half of that season, going into the manga right after that, it was just not my cup of tea. It took a lot of time for me to adjust and to really just buckle down and just have to get these volumes and read them. There were parts where people were fighting and then I couldn't really understand what was going on because the manga art just wasn't that great. I don't know if that's just a me problem, but personally, I did not really like the art of Demon Slayer. Another issue that I really had with the manga is that I felt like there were a lot of plot holes. There were specific parts that I really had major issues with because I felt like the characters just weren't developed enough. Zenitsu is just like for some reason able to fight with his eyes open and not being asleep. Towards the end of the manga, he's battling someone that he grew up with, had the same sensei as him and everything, and that kind of wakes him up to like fight his fears or whatever it is. But for me personally, it just didn't make sense and it wasn't consistent for who we knew Zenitsu to be. The whole manga and the whole anime up until that point had built Zenitsu up to be someone that was afraid, that was scared, and of course I would love to have seen him develop out of that. I don't understand how he automatically shifted just because he was fighting a different opponent. If they had built up to that and shown us his development and what he had been working on to face those fears and where his mindset was, and I know there was a small point in the training arc before the final battle where we see Zenitsu focused and Tanjiro sees him and he says something about having to do it himself or whatever it was that he said, but we never really established that Zenitsu could do that. So when it came up in that final battle and he was fighting that demon and he was just awake the whole time, I was kind of confused and taken aback because we had never really established that this is something that Zenitsu could now do, and we had never seen the growth really. And that was really a lot of the issue that I had with the manga, is that the growth for at least the side characters, the main side characters like Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Nezuko, they weren't really discussed much. And of course, the story is about Tanjiro. He's the main protagonist. We all get that. But I think to make a great story, not just to have a good story, but to have a great story, is that everyone needs development. That's something that I felt Demon Slayer did not really hit on the mark. I just wish that we had more development, and it didn't sit right with me. Another issue that I had with the manga of Demon Slayer is the pacing of the last arc. So I heard a lot of people talking about how the final arc was rushed. It felt like they just wanted to get it done with and finish it, whatever. I don't like to believe that type of stuff until I consume it for myself, because people could have different opinions on how they feel the pacing should have been and should have went. But man, Demon Slayer felt very rushed for me. I thought that we were barely like going to get to that space of the final arc, I guess you could say. I thought during the training arc and everything that they were still training. I thought they were going to maybe have a couple of battles before they finally get to the big climax, which for me the big climax was everything that had to do with the upper moons, right? But I didn't know that the final arc was going to happen like right after the training arc. And because of that, I felt like it was rushed. I think Zenitsu's chapter of fighting his upper moon friend or whatever, I'm pretty sure that only lasted like a chapter. Zenitsu's a great fighter. I'm not gonna say he's not, but he took on an upper moon alone in like a single chapter, maybe 2 chapters, but that's it. And I don't know about you guys, but we know how long fights usually span. And I get Zenitsu's not the main character, but he definitely could have done it at least in like 5 chapters or something like that. But for him to not only shift his fighting style from being asleep to being awake, and then also taking down an upper moon by himself in a couple chapters, it just didn't seem realistic to me, and it kind of like rubbed me the wrong way, I guess you could say, because of how inconsistent to his character it felt for me. And that about wraps up this episode of Manga in Minutes. If you guys enjoy this style of video, let me know. If you guys disagree with me, let me know in the comments as well. If you guys hate what I said, or if you guys love and agree with everything that I said, let me know in the comments as well. This is not meant to bash on anyone that likes Demon Slayer. I like Demon Slayer. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but I do appreciate the things that they tried to do and the things that they did get accomplished. I just feel like with every good thing, there are some things that aren't exactly great either. Now that's everything I gotta say. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share the video to your friends, everyone. Thank you guys for just viewing this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.